Yo, what's up fanbase, it's your boy Blaze Hollow coming at you with another what if. This time I'll be bringing you What If Deku Had All for One Part 12. So with all that said, please start that intro and get into it.
See me through the fog, bitch. Crazy, saying that she hate me. Obliterate the pussy feral animal with rabies. Yo, bitch, fucking dirty. She got scabies. Wipe the thotty out of that, trapped you with some babies. Everyone thinking that they gon' save me. Depressive motherfucker, I don't wanna steal you.
After a few hours of them battling one another, they decided to head back to the Todoroki household as everybody was relaxing and celebrating, getting ready for tomorrow's entrance exam. Except for one person who was Izuku, sitting in the backyard on the porch having a suitcase sitting next to him that said Prototype 1. While he was staring up at the sky, Mina came over to him and sat down, giving him a very cheerful smile. "Alright, I know that look, so tell me what's on your mind." Izuku looked at her hesitant about how he was going to phrase his next sentence to her. "I don't know if I should go to UA. I could always try out for a different school." Mina was blown back by that statement, wondering what could cause Izuku to change his mind all of a sudden. "Why are you hesitating now? You were just celebrating with the rest of us earlier, unless..." She started to remember Izuku telling her about his real sister and all the problems that they were having. "You're seriously worried about Hana?" Izuku had a grim look on his face as she just looked at him, seeing that she hit the nail right on the head. "Yeah, I just don't want to deal with these school factions again. Plus, I heard from Endeavor that All Might's going to try to become a teacher there. So knowing him, he'll probably try to take every opportunity that he can to shut me down." Mina just smiled at him as she started to ruffle up his hair a little bit. "Since when do you let either of them guide your life? You've been able to do things that most heroes nowadays could never do. So if any of them try to get in your way, just push them aside like you always do." Izuku started to cheer up a little bit as he grabbed onto her wrist, making her stop. "I guess that's true, but then again, what if All Might tries to turn most of the faculty against us? He has a lot of influence over everybody." Mina just shook her head, realizing that she's always going to be the one to have to cheer him up. "That's not completely true. Didn't Endeavor and Overhaul tell you the good news?" Izuku was very puzzled, not knowing what she was talking about. "What good news?" Mina just smiled as she was blushing a little bit. "Well, maybe if you give me a kiss, I'll tell you, and you also have to cut off all this doom and gloom." Izuku smiled as he grabbed onto Mina and put her into his lap. "I should have known. I never get free information out of you." He said that playfully as he gave her a gentle kiss. "Now please tell me, what is this good news?" Mina was giggling as she snuggled up in Izuku's lap as she started to whisper something into his ear. "Overhaul is going to become the head doctor of UA, while Endeavor is actually going to becoming a hero course teacher, but I don't know which one." Izuku started to smile as he was happily knowing that there were going to be allies on the inside. "You always know what to tell me to make me feel better about everything." While all of this was happening, we cut over to behind a wall to the backyard as we find Endeavor, Hawks, Toya, and Shoto with cups up against it, trying to listen in on the entire conversation, only to be discovered by Ray and Mirako, who were both confused about what was going on with this entire situation. Ray just looks at her husband with a concerned look. "Would the four of you like to explain what you're doing right now?" Shoto actually shushed his mother as he pointed out towards the window. "We're trying to hear what they're talking about. Ever since we got home, Izuku has been sad and we want to find out why." Mirako got interested herself as she started to put her ear up against the wall as she started to listen to the both of them as she blushed. "Well, I'll definitely tell you this, that boy is a good smooth talker." All of them were shocked because they weren't actually getting a good listen to what the conversation was with the cups that they were using, but they were afraid to get any closer. But then Mirako took a look around at all the boys doing a head count, realizing that two of them were missing along with her daughter, who she hasn't seen for a little bit, as we cut on top of the roof of the house right where Izuku and Mina were sitting, as we see Shoto, Titan, and Humi starting to rain down cherry blossom petals, along with playing romantic music, while Titan was actually confused, wondering why they were doing all this. "And the both of you remind me why we're doing this again?" Enso looks at his friend, kinda disappointed on how he's treating this whole situation. "Listen, the both of them don't really act romantic towards each other. We're trying to give them a little bit more of a push." Humi smacks the both of them on the back of the head, trying to get them to concentrate on what they're doing. "We're doing this for Mina. Her boyfriend doesn't give her enough attention compared to his research. It's been a giving relationship with no reward. I don't know how she puts up with him, so we have to give Izuku a little bit more of a push to give her attention." Izuku and Mina were both chuckling, realizing what was going on around them, so they decided to give their friends and family the show that they wanted. As Izuku was clearing his throat, he was ready to give this lovey-dovey little speech, but Mina then put her hand over his mouth, not wanting this to be forced. "All of you can come out. We know that you're there. You're trying to force us to be romantic, but it's it's not going to work. It doesn't feel natural. Everyone tried to hold their ground and stay quiet as possible, trying not to get caught, making it seem like it was a part of their imagination, until Izuku cuffed his hands over his mouth and shouted up to the heavens, "Titan, push your associates off the roof right in front of Mina and me." Titan didn't even hesitate for a second as he threw off Shinso and Yumi right in front of Izuku. "Did I follow orders appropriately, Master? I mean Izuku?" Mina stretches out one of her sludge-like tendrils as she grabs onto one of the people hiding behind the wall, as she actually grabs onto Shoto as she hangs him right upside down in front of the both of them. "Now you're going to tell me how many people are behind that wall with you, or else I'm going to cover you in so much sludge that you're never going to get it off of your person." Shoto was very terrified as he decided to spill his entire guts out. "Everybody except for my sister is behind that wall, so can you please put me down? I'm very sorry for eavesdropping on the both of you." Mina decided to gently place him down on the ground as she then looked over at Izuku. "Her family really does not like leaving us alone at all, do they?" She then looked down at Shoto with a very annoyed look on her face. "Now go tell everybody to leave us alone. I can't stay much longer because I have to head home to get ready for the entrance exam tomorrow morning." Izuku then looked at Yumi and then at Shoto and then up on the roof where Titan was. "The three of you could head out as well. We would like some privacy so we can talk without people eavesdropping on us." After a little while, all of them ran off, not wanting to get in between the both of them anymore. They had decided to exchange a few more quick words with each other as they then gave each other a hug, and Mina decided to head on home. The next morning in Izuku's room, we actually see that he is fully dressed and ahead of schedule by an hour as he starts to hear a voice inside of his head. "You do know that most likely that they're going to be setting up a trap for you during the entrance exam, right?" Izuku just smiled, hearing the voice of his mentor as he saw All For One standing next to him. "Yeah, I know, but we have friends on the inside. Plus, I don't think that every teacher that will be watching will be on his side, so maybe we'll have a fighting chance in the exam." All For One was very impressed with his students' optimism and planning for the exam. "Well, maybe you should be a little bit worried because not all of your friends have the amazing power that you do. What are you going to do if some of them get hurt majorly in this exam?" Izuku had a grin on his face as he went over to his bookshelf and pulled out one of his notebooks. "I'll do what I always do, figure out who did it and how it happened, and then bring that person to justice." They soon heard knocking on the bedroom door as All For One and Izuku ended their conversation, allowing the person who was knocking to enter the room to reveal themselves to be Endeavor. "Good morning. How are you feeling about today's entrance exam, Izuku?" Izuku placed the notebook that he was holding right next to the briefcase that held his hero costume. "I'm ready. If you're here to give me some kind of pep talk, you should save it for the others. They're going to need it a lot more than I'm going to." Endeavor just shook his head while chuckling at that comment. "I believe that all of you are going to do perfectly fine, but that's not why I'm here." Endeavor closed the door behind him as he noticed that the both of them were finally alone and talking in private. "I just wanted to let you know that I am a part of the monitoring committee who is going to be judging the whole thing, but so is All Might. So do me a favor and make sure to look over your shoulder at all times. You never know what could happen out there." Izuku nodded as he wished that life didn't have to be this way. "Well, thanks for all the information. I just need to get myself mentally ready, so if you don't mind, I need some alone time before we head out." Endeavor completely understood the situation as he started to walk out of the room. "I do want you to know that there is no pressure. If something goes wrong, we could always try again somewhere else." After about an hour, we find Izuku right in front of the UA building, actually seeing how massive it is as he's shot out of his thoughts as he hears somebody yelling at him and making a loud explosion. He then quickly looks to his left as he actually notices Bakugo coming right towards him. "Oh god, I was hoping that you were already inside so I didn't have to deal with you already." Bakugo started to ignite more explosions in his hand as he got closer. "I thought I told you villains like you should not even show up to UA. Don't even dare trying to take the entrance exam." Izuku just lifted up his right hand as he activated his wind cannon at 2%, blowing out all the explosions. "And like I've told you before, I'm not a villain, but I do find it ironic that you keep on calling me that when you keep on acting like a live grenade trying to destroy everything around you." Bakugo was about to attack Izuku only for him to hear the voice of a woman yelling out to him to stop. When the both of them looked up towards the sky, they noticed Hana levitating with her telekinesis with a very annoyed look on her face, especially when she saw Izuku. "I had a feeling that you would show up, but I doubt that you'll pass, so keep on trying to be the hero. It will be interesting just to watch you fail." Before anything else could be said, the sound of 5 people running up, revealing themselves to be Shoto, Mina, Titan, Yumi, and Shinso. They were annoyed from what they just heard and a little bit annoyed with Izuku since he ran on ahead without them. While the entire group was stepping up, Shinso got in front of everybody ready to take charge of the situation. "Long time no see, Hana. Do you still go crying to daddy when you don't get your way?" Hana just glared at Shinso. "What the hell are you talking about?" She stopped mid-sentence like some kind of weird force was controlling her. her. Shinso was smiling happily knowing that she fell for that trick. You never learn, do you? Now punch Bakugo in the face and leave us alone. Bakugo was confused about why she would do something like that. Do you have a screw loose? There's no reason. Anna cut off Bakugo's statement by punching him right in the face as she actually looked at the whole situation, confused why she actually did that, but then remembered what Shinso's quirk was. You dirty villain, how dare you make me do something like that to Bakugo? Shinso just rolled his eyes, annoyed about the entire situation as he looked back at his group. Listen, feel lucky that I didn't actually use my quirk to make you go home so you would miss the test, but I wouldn't do that because Izuku wouldn't want me to do that. The situation started to get more and more tense between the two groups, but was then stopped by a man with green hair wearing a business suit. As he was readjusting his glasses, he walked up in front of the gate, getting in between both groups as he revealed himself to be Nighteye. Hey now everybody, today's supposed to be a very important day, so let's not start off with violence. Besides, the two leaders of your factions are siblings, so can't you try to get along? Izuku just had an annoyed look on his face as soon as he heard the end of Nightae's statement. We are not siblings. If it was up to me, I would remove all of this cursed blood from my veins so I would not be connected to her or All Might because both of them are completely corrupted. Anna was actually offended and mad as she started to use her telekinesis to lift up parts of the sidewalk and let them levitate around her. Well, I wouldn't want the blood of a villain flowing through my veins either, trust me. I would rather see you dead somewhere in a gutter. My father and I was not corrupted. You were the one who was truly corrupted. Nighteye gave both of them a serious look but saw this as an opportunity. Anna, compose yourself. Besides, your father is waiting for you inside. It's best not to keep him waiting. Anna wasn't happy that she had to leave, but she doesn't like to leave her father waiting as she ran off along with Bakugo. This isn't over. One day we will settle this, Izuku. Nighteye waited until he saw both of them go inside the building, and once they did, he turned to look at Izuku's group. Sorry about her. She seems to get very emotional whenever you get around Izuku, but I've been trying to get that under control. Nighteye reached out like he was trying to put his hand on Izuku's shoulder, but as soon as he got closer, All For One appeared in his visage form, telling Izuku not to let Nighteye touch him. As he explains that Nighteye actually has a future sight quirk, as soon as Izuku heard that, he jumped back a few steps, making sure that Nighteye couldn't touch him. No offense, but I'd rather you keep your hands to yourself. I don't need you reading my future. Nighteye kept a straight face on the outside, but on the inside he was very annoyed. Now, why would I want to read your future? I was just trying to give you a hand of praise for how you were handling that entire situation with your friends. Titan stepped up in front of Izuku, almost getting up in Night-Eye's face. You don't want any of your praise, and if I find you anywhere near Izuku, I'll break both of your eyes so you can never use your quirk again. Shoto grabbed onto Titan and pulled him back to get him to calm down. Calm down, we don't need to get violent with this pro hero, he'll just cause us more issues. He then turned around to look Night-Eye dead in the eyes. But do know this, if you cause any harm to my brother, I'll freeze you so deeply in ice that you'll never get out of it. Hina gently grabbed onto Izuku's arm, trying to comfort him from this entire situation. I wish people like you would just leave us alone. Haven't you caused him enough issues already? Izuku gently removed Mina off of his arm as he smiled at her and then smiled at everybody else around him. It's alright, let's just go inside. There's nothing that he can do now. Our entire group goes inside the building, getting ready to hear this massive lecture before taking the actual exam, but we then quickly cut over to Sir Nighteye, who goes back inside of UA building trying to find a private place to dial up a number. I'm sorry, I failed. I wasn't able to get a hold to him so I could see his future. As Nighteye is having this back and forth discussion with somebody on the phone, the sound of footsteps could be heard going through the corridor of the hallway as a mysterious figure rounds the corner. I know that both you and All Might both really hate Izuku, but to go so far to try to rig his entrance exam shows that I really have to keep an eye on the both of you. Nighteye had a cold sweat trying to figure out who this person was as he turned around and saw Overhaul. Oh, it's only you. Don't you have something better to do with your day instead of bothering me, villain? Overhaul chuckled as he looked over the corner, making sure that his adopted daughter had her headphones in, so she didn't have to hear the conversation, as he then turned back to look at Nighteye. Last I checked, I'm number 3 in the hero chart, and second, keeping you from what you were trying to do is my job. I'm just glad that the kid was able to avoid you without even me being around. Nighteye just composed himself, making sure to keep a cool face. I honestly don't know what you're talking about. If you think that I would really rig the entrance exam, then you need to get a reality check. I'm not so low to do something like that. I'm a hero. Overhaul just rolled his eyes at that statement, actually trying to hold back his laughter. You can keep on trying to play innocent, that's fine with me, but do know that I will keeping my eyes on you, along with a network of people who can keep tabs at you at all times as long as I choose them to. Nighteye glared at Overhaul, feeling like he was threatened. Was that that a threat just now? Because if it was a very empty one. Overhaul just chuckled as he put both of his hands back into his pocket. It's not a threat, it's a fact, so if you also don't mind, could you pass the message along to All Might for me? Nighteye was a little bit confused, wondering why Overhaul had a message for All Might. Alright, villain, what is your so-called message? Overhaul took a second to think back on his life and where he is now as he started to smile. You're outnumbered. Nighteye was now seriously confused about that statement. What exactly is that supposed to mean? Overhaul had nothing else to say as he picked up Area and walked away, leaving Nighteye to ponder that message. As we cut back over to Izuku putting on his hero costume that his father gave him, it had a red mask with black lining around the eyes to make sure that his green eyes actually popped out, along with a red trench coat that seemed to be very open and had two tails flapping behind him, with a very special white fiber shirt that had black lining all over it with black buttons going all over the chest plate, with gloves that seemed to be made out of green leather fibers, with a nice pair of black leather pants and slip-on shoes. While everybody was changing into something else, he then went to where all the applicants were going for Group C. He was actually very surprised when he noticed Titan, Shinso, Shoto, Mina, and along with Yumi were actually in his group, as he walked up to all of them actually with a really bright smile. Okay, now this is confusing. I would think that they would split us up, but to put us all on the same testing site is a little bit suspicious. Shinso nodded as he was actually the most confused, realizing that they were deep in enemy territory. It is odd that we would be placed in the same testing site, but if you really think about it, it's the best opportunity for the enemy to take us all out at once. Mina was starting to get a bad feeling as she looked around, noticing that most of the applicants in their block were people that wouldn't really pass to begin with. I think that we're going to be expecting hell once those gates open, so we can't afford to hold back whatsoever. Shoto had his eyes closed as he was sensing the vibrations in the area when he actually started to feel heavy vibrations inside of the testing site, which was starting to worry him. She isn't wrong, I don't know what's in there, but it's big and there's a lot of them. Yumi was a little bit worried, but then she looked at Izuku, who was completely calm and seemed to actually have a plan ready. You actually seem to have a plan. Do you want to share it with the rest of us? Izuku had a grin on his face as he was actually excited to share his plan. Yes, I have a plan. I guess you could call it something similar to a game called Capture the Flag, where I will be most likely the biggest target in this entire testing site. What I will do is hang back for most of the battle time, and so I can let you guys gather points. Once I feel like all of you have enough points, I'll then unleash my real army and rack up enough points so I can pass with no problems. Titan looked at the giant gates, realizing that there's a massive city behind it, as he then looked over at Izuku. Am I allowed to fully transform, or should I only use parts of my transformation? Izuku was thinking about Titan's question, but then he also started to realize what people were going to be on the committee, allowing them to go into the school. I think that you should only focus on using parts of your transformation. We don't know how big the city is going to be, and we don't want you to accidentally crush other examinees. But if you do feel like it is extremely necessary, I do give you my permission to fully transform and do what you have to. Titan nodded as he completely understood what he might have to do. Do you think we're going to have to worry about the other examinees either getting hurt or attacking us? Izuku just shook his head, just thinking about the idea of other students trying to attack them. I doubt that any of them will actually try to attack us. It's us having to try to rescue them is what I'm worried about. Shinso started to roll his eyes, thinking about having to take care of other people who aren't in their group. I think that we should let them struggle for themselves and only help them if we feel like they're going to get themselves killed. Shoto finally opened his eyes as he started to exhale a little bit of mist out of his mouth. We can't allow ourselves to be on edge. Remember, we're being tested on being heroes. If we see somebody, we have to try our best to save them. Luna looked a little bit upset having to save these people when she knows that they would probably not do the same for them. I'm seriously doubting that we should help other examinees if they're in trouble, but if I guess it will help us pass, I'll do it. Zuko closed his eyes as he temporarily entered his mindscape, hoping that All for One had everything ready for him. Have you been able to gather all of them, or at least get them to cooperate with me for this one moment? All for One was sitting in a chair as a bunch of black-like visages were standing right behind him, ready for action. I got as many as I could to help with our cause, so with this many I think we'll be fine for the entire exam. Zuko had a grin on his face as he was looking at all the other visages. Don't worry, all of you will get to have your redemption moment today, but like I told my friends, we're going to give them a chance to gather up enough points, because I feel like if we go on a rampage first, we'll take everything and leave nothing for them to be able to gather points on. One of the visages seemed to be having their tail wagged behind them as they actually stepped forward. I am ready to help you, my king. You have saved me from my madness, so I will fight by your side until my dying breath. Next visage seemed to be very sad as she walked forward with a rain cloud over her head. Do we really have to be violent? Can't we just talk this out instead of having to destroy things? The third visage seemed to actually be laughing as he was juggling a bunch of fireballs on his hands. Come on, Izuku, I know that you want to be kind to your friends, but let's get the performance started and show these people what they truly came here for. The fourth and final visage actually seemed to be sitting next to All For One, who was actually looking at a bunch of papers, strategizing. He was looking over your plan and thinking that it was actually kind of stupid to let your friends do all the battle for you, so you just have to take on what's left. Izuku was thinking to himself that he had to talk to all of these visages to see what they were really thinking about him. As much as I would rather talk about how I don't like being referred to as a king, or to see how one of my friends here is actually sad about her situation, we really need to take this whole test seriously. So I'm heading back to the outside world, so I'll summon you when I need all of you. When Izuku came back to the real world, he could hear the sound of all the speakers turning on as he could hear the voice of President Mike coming over them, causing everybody to look around trying to find him, as some random person in the crowd actually pointed to on top of the gate where he was looking. But at that exact moment, everybody could hear President Mike shouting out one thing: "Go, go, go, there are no countdowns in real hero work, so get to work." But that's where I'm going to leave it off this time, guys. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I'm very sorry that it takes so long for these to come out. Work has been just stacking on top of me with everything. So please do me a favor and go check out our Discord. Please leave a comment and a like down below, and make sure to check out the next videos. But with all that said, I'm out this time, guys. Bye.